After China, Trump issues a chilling warning to Iran. The clock is ticking. Reports say fighting could begin this week. In Gaza, Israel eliminates one of the last October 7th masterminds. Meanwhile, Eurovision erupts into anti-Israel protests. Our very own Bellamy goes undercover inside a Nakba rally, and what she finds is truly shocking. We're getting into all of it right now. What's going on this week? Well, look at Trump, what he's saying after his trip to China.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. He said that strongly. But at the same time, he said, you know, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened. No, I'm not going to be much more patient. No, I'm not. They should make a deal. Any sane person would make a deal. But they might be crazy.
And now going to his tweet, for Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence. Our Emily is away, but we have two wonderful guest co-hosts with us, Adi El, an amazing activist, and our friend Raquel Capithan, who comes back already third time to our show. She is a former sergeant and government spokesperson. Okay, everyone, here we are again. And I feel like we talk about this every week. When is it going to start again? Is it going to start again? The trip to China was very important. And this is something that I think that Trump was kind of aiming towards. Now, in terms of China, they were interested, and I said this last week in a news interview, they were interested in Taiwan and the chip manufacturing, and they do, you know, the best chip manufacturing in the world, and the whole AI Cold War. We can get into all of that kind of global chess. But in terms of Iran, what did Trump come out with that we don't know? Shoshana, what do you think?
Girl, I do not know. To even pretend that I know what's going on would be a joke. All I know is that when the United States is distracted or dealing with other things, China's super happy, right? Russia's super happy, China's super, because nobody's looking at them. So like for me, this is all about like, why is no one looking at China? Why is no one looking at Russia? Why is no one looking at Africa? Why is no one looking at anything other than Israel, the Middle East? Because that, you know, things happen in the dark. And for that, look, I don't know anything about
this. No, but China needs the Straits of Hormuz open because that's where they get the majority of their cheap energy from. Raquel, what do you think came out of it that we're not seeing?
Like Shoshana is saying, usually people don't pull back and look at the entire chessboard. So if you look at the entire chessboard, you have your pawns at the front, and then you have your kings and queens. Those are the big global players. And it's always proxy wars that they're paying attention to. But really what's going on is US versus China, US versus Russia.
100%.
So with China getting into this, what I saw when I look at this is China's very strategic with their moves.
Yeah.
And basically, they're also at their wits' end with Iran once they close the strait. And they're like, what are you doing? And they're thinking to themselves, maybe this is a, you know, sunken fallacy here. Like, should we waste more time trying to invest in propping this up? Or are we at our wits' end here? And so suddenly you see a partnership emerge, possibly, where it normally wouldn't, because there's a common, you know, problem here.
There's not just a common problem. I think there's a common agenda, because China doesn't have any ideology. China is about economic expansion. That's what they're about. They're about money. They don't care. They didn't come and rescue Iran. And to me, that's already a win for Trump, that nobody came to rescue Iran, not Russia and not China. So the fact that they didn't get involved in the war, and now they're kind of doing a deal, and I heard just now I read somewhere that Trump is going to be selling China oil from Alaska. Like, there's just so much going on. And I think that perhaps the best thing that came out of it is that China said, we're not going to rearm Iran.
Definitely. I think, just like you said, we're watching a very weird macro, like 7D chess game here. And I had, honestly, on my page on Instagram, I had this little talk with my followers through the stories. I asked them, what is China all about even? We were talking about traveling, but then we got into the politics of it. And what a lot of people told me who went to China, who work with Chinese companies and businesses, they told me China does what is good for China. They don't, just like you said, they don't have an ideology. I thought in the beginning, I thought that they are, that they're aligned with Iran, they're aligned with Russia because they're against the US. But now we're seeing with this Trump visit to China that it's not necessarily all that black and white. And we can, just like you said, you can see a weird convergence of
interests. Exactly.
Yeah, between the
It's
US
all
and
about
China.
interests.
And that's crazy to me. We're living through really, really crazy times. It's fascinating to watch, really.
Fascinating to watch this. Hope we don't get rockets on our heads again.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
We got front row seats.
we definitely get front row seats. But ultimately, there must have been something that he took with him, and I think it is okay. We're not going to rearm Iran. We're not going to get involved. We're going to look the other way. You get the Straits of Hormuz open. We'll continue. I mean, I don't see how this can end in any other way than bringing down the regime, but it's not easy. These people are so entrenched in so many provinces. They've done so much damage in 47 years. I just don't know whether this gets done before the 4th of July. And I know that that's something that Trump would like to go into victory. 4th of July, 250 years of America, saying, look, and guess who also needs a victory for his elections? Bibi. He also needs a victory. There's going to be elections possibly in September, unless there's a war that delays elections. But that doesn't happen very often here. And he also needs the victory. So that's why I think, and I hope, we predict these things every week. I think we might be at war this week. But
I'm so tired of
I'm exhausted.
hearing this already.
I'm exhausted because war for us means, yes, we're running to shelters at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and unfortunately people get killed also. But moving swiftly on to another battleground, Eurovision. Oh my God. First of all, I mean, honestly, could there have possibly been a better result for Israel?
Absolutely no.
Let's look back. They tried to ban us, and 4 countries didn't show up. Five
countries.
Who are they? The best countries, though: Spain, Ireland,
Slovenia,
and Holland.
and the Netherlands and another country, I think.
There was another one. There were 5.
Anyway, point is, they didn't succeed, and the EBU, is that what they called? They stuck by their grounds. We have to give them credit for that. They say, no, we don't boycott people. Israel took part. They didn't. They played chicken and they lost, these countries. Now, on top of all that, they changed the rules because they thought that somehow Israel had an unfair advantage through the popular vote, that we managed to use our soft power. Yeah, it's called advertising. They all do it.
Like, this is crazy
Everybody does
conspiracy.
it.
Like, guys,
Conspiracy.
Crazy that Israel wants to win. Wow.
Jews want to win. Wow.
Eurovision of all things.
Eurovision, yes, soft power, yeah. Anyway, and then they changed the rules, and with the new rules, we come into second place, which to me was better than first place, because first place would have unleashed a whole lot of like, oh, I'm not coming next year, and all these other boycotts. And now we get to sit pretty with number 2. Our song was the top 2 in the world, and we don't even have to host.
I love it. I was watching it, and I'm an American. We don't know what Eurovision is, okay? Not until I'm in this country. I'm like, what is this?
cares?
The weirdest people? Just throw them on the stage with props, and this is what a competition is.
They're
It's crazy.
weird, and the songs are terrible.
Oh,
Terrible,
It's
terrible,
crazy. It's
terrible.
crazy. So I'm watching this, and I have to watch it because it's it's all controversial, whatever. And I'm watching it, and my daughters like, we're watching with me. They're like, I'm not watching this, and they disappeared. I'm by myself watching it, and I'm like, I'm watching, and I'm okay. And I actually thought that she was gonna win because she had the best Bulgaria one. Right?
Bulgaria, yeah.
She had I loved it. It was like poppy. I really liked it. I was like, she's gonna win. And it turns out that she refused to condemn Israel.
Not just that.
not just that.
And
She also
she liked
made
videos.
sure that the Israeli team knows that she supports them.
So first of all, for me, like legitimately the best possible answer.
Right.
As I see Noam goes to number 2, I'm like, oh, no. I literally tweeted, oy vey, we may win this thing. And I'm alone downstairs because everybody abandoned me.
I felt the same.
I'm like, oh, no. And then finally I was like, okay, she went. We did not need that.
Absolutely.
But it was the best possible outcome. It was exciting. I was happy.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I did. My daughter and her friends for the first hour or so were interested.
That's a lot. So that I can make it past
with
2 hours.
songs. I just joined in the counting, to be honest.
But two interesting things. One, there was a moment where this crowd member in the crowd was holding up a small Palestinian flag
Yeah.
while bobbing his head to the Israeli song. Like, he got caught up in the moment. Like, there's no real ideology behind this. He's like, Palestine. Oh, yeah, this is a cool song.
Rhythm is going to get you.
And the other thing I just want to note about Eurovision, year after year, there's this controversy, the hate, the
Yes.
campaigns against us. And we still are always in the top 5.
Yeah, because our songs are good.
Exactly.
songs
Back-to-back
are
years
good.
were number 2. Like, it reminds me as well about the state of Israel. So much boycotting, so much hurrah, so much protesting. And here we are, doing well through all the years of war. Like, they can't get us
Our
down.
economy strong, our markets strong. It's
Look at the
100%.
shekel. It's,
You would think
it's crazy what's going on right now.
You would think they would learn, though. You would think they would learn. But no.
They don't. They don't.
But what I find really interesting is that people don't understand. Like, if you open Threads, which is my new place,
I
they
don't.
find me
I'm not
Threads
on
now.
that. I don't want to
If
be.
you open Threads, you're just like, I wonder how Israel, who's so unpopular, got so many popular votes. And the responses are fantastic.
Right.
And I think I actually quoted, well, that's because we killed Jesus, and like that just all comes from there. But other people were like, well, maybe they're not as unpopular as you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the fact of the matter is, what you see, the loudest people are not necessarily
Exactly.
the representative, and so it's amazing to watch. And truly, we put effort into it. We care about this for whatever reason. We love Eurovision. I don't know.
Because we realize, how much people pay attention to it and how much people can, we can kind of stick it to them.
But also, I
through
think
that.
our songs are good. Honestly,
We are good at
And
it.
you know what
We
I
are
liked?
good at it.
I think it's very good because the last 2 years, the first year, of course, it was the most painful year. With the song October Rain, which is basically, they made us change the song because it was too political. It was originally
October Rain.
October Rain.
And then they changed it to Hurricane.
Yeah.
Hurricane, exactly. October Rain to Hurricane, because October was too
Yeah.
political.
Too political.
Beautiful song. We were all crying. Last year, A Nova Survivor. A stunning song. Stunning
You know,
song.
she wrote this song.
Really?
She wrote Noam's
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
So not only did she
Stunning.
take second last year, but she also, her song that she wrote for Noam took second place.
Superstar. Stunning performance. It was so beautiful. I cried. And this year we're like, almost like we're like getting out of the trauma, and we have a more peppy, happy song about, maybe it has different meanings about Michelle leaving this guy, whatever it is. I really like the evolution of the last few years of our Eurovision songs.
The last thing I'll say about the Eurovision as well is that coming from the world of communications and PR, no PR is bad PR, because they do all of this, and what do you think it does? Put a spotlight on the Israeli artist,
Yes.
and helps to showcase
Look
the
at how
talent
many
that we
items
have
on
here.
BBC, on Sky News about Israel's participation on Eurovision.
And then they meet this guy, and this BBC woman starts asking him really difficult questions. And he's just a nice guy.
I know.
I think that's the strongest.
Wants to get up and sing, and you can see he's just a nice guy. And they're like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" Well, it's just, look, I don't deal with that. Khan does.
Yeah.
The
I think it
national broadcast.
backfires.
It backfires because it's just so nice,
I think-
and they won't pick up the hostility.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note, last year, we always say we get the high votes through the televote from the audience, and then the juries don't like us. Last year we saw it. Last year the juries did not give many points to Yuval. This year, it's not just the televote that really voted for us. The juries really gave us some nice points.
Yes.
We finished the jury vote with I think more than double.
Like sixth
More
or
than
seventh
double.
in the jury vote.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the way it should be, because when you listen to all the songs, honestly, we had a really.
It was a train wreck this year. Wow.
It was so bad.
It was so bad. The British song.
Unlistenable.
Man, you've got the best music writers in the world, Britain. Why do you come up
I
with
felt
these
so bad for that guy. You see, they
terrible
abandoned
songs?
him. He was alone in his thing by himself.
No.
Denmark adopted him.
Yeah, that was
Literally,
that.
they
Did you
left
see
him
that video?
alone.
He was just sitting alone in the booth.
Where was
You know?
his team?
They
were like,
just
"I'm out."
It was so bad. But Britain, you produced the Beatles, for God's sake. You can't go to a good Eurovision song. This song was like, I don't know what it was. It was like The Lion King and the Tin Man. I don't know. Anyway, just what terrible thing. But it just shows, I think what you said and what you said is true, that maybe it's the haters who make the most noise.
Yeah.
But the majority of people just like don't care and they just want to listen to a song competition.
Yeah.
And that's the way we should be. We only want to be dealing with a song competition. We don't need to be dealing with all the drama around it. These are beautiful singers. These are great, wonderful young people. Let them sing and judge them for the song, which I think you're right, Adil. I think this year we got closer to it.
Yeah.
I think maybe people are getting tired of this whole... and I think that that's what it is. The people are just like, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Tired of it. And even the guy with the Palestinian flag is like, ooh, getting carried away.
Like, I'll do my part. Like, hold up the phone.
Now, talking about people making noise, our very own Bellamy Bellucci, who's coming back to Israel very soon, did something kind of brave. She put on the keffiyeh and she went undercover at the Nakba parade in New York. Watch this.
16th of May, 2026, Bay Ridge, New York. I went undercover, completely covered up so that I could be in the protest that was commemorating the Nakba. I've never experienced anything more terrifying. I had to stand in a crowd of people while they were chanting Antifada, Antifada, death to the IDF, the Zios, you know, Zionism is not Jew. And there are Jews there with Magen Davids and keffiyeh. It was something that was beyond out of body that I'm still trying to process right now. But the most disgusting part of it is that they are very powerful in what they're doing and they're getting what they need to get done. There was a teenage boy with a flag of what I think is Hezbollah. I interviewed a kid that literally was basically Hamas, if we want to be honest, because he had the headband on and he had a sweater and a sweatshirt that was celebrating Yahya Sinwar. He knew exactly what he was saying. He knew exactly what he was speaking about. Somebody that is going to be the liberation of not just Palestine, but of the West. This is beyond a terrifying time to be alive, especially if you're living in New York and you're a Jew and you're just pretending that it'll die down or if I keep my head down, whatever. Let me tell you now, New York is done. It's over.
Wow.
Oh my God, that is a pretty dark, pessimistic assessment. Adele, you've been traveling around the world over the last few months. What do you think about that?
I've, well, the situation in Latin America where I mostly traveled is definitely different than what we're seeing now in New York. It's a hate movement. It's a hate movement that managed to sell itself as some humanitarian cause to the entire world. Just like she described, you know, what we're seeing in these rallies, it's not calls for peace, calls for you know rights.
Even if
we're way past that.
Yeah.
It's Hezbollah flags, it's Hamas flags, and even this whole narrative of the Nakba parade. What is the Nakba? What exactly are they commemorating? When the Nakba in Arabic is the catastrophe.
Yeah.
What we consider our catastrophe, the Holocaust, when we commemorate that, you see it's vigils, it's coming together as people, talking about how we must never allow humanity to ever get to this point again. What they're shouting at these rallies is nothing. It's exactly the opposite. It's calling for the genocide of Jews. That's what they call their catastrophe. The failed genocide of Jews.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
For people who don't know, is they're lamenting that they didn't do a second Jewish genocide within a few years from the Holocaust. That is the lament. We didn't kill all the Jews, and they managed to create a state.
And they're so, blunt with this. I don't get how people just fall for that. How do people not see through that?
Because they've been very clever on how they sell it. And they're selling it. I sat down with somebody who's very knowledgeable yesterday, and he said basically they appeal to the people who are missing belonging, community, self-esteem. It's a younger
generation.
Someone
to hate, a scapegoat, something to blame.
Scapegoat, something to blame.
A reason the world... People, when you look at the world and you see that things need to be fixed, you have a choice, right? You either work hard and find a cause that you can dedicate yourself to. I've done this myself. What's my little piece of what I can fix in the world? Or you sit back and say it's because of them that things are bad. And then you don't have to do anything other than yell about that person, right? So it's a very lazy. It's lazy, it's intellectually bankrupt, and it just makes it very easy to like be popular, blame somebody else, and take zero responsibility. I mean, it's very easy to understand why they do it.
The zero responsibility is very key here because in these protests, like Bellamy said, they're so emboldened at this point. They're just going with the flags, going with the terrorist memorabilia. What they're not doing is telling the full story. The Nakba was because of a war that they started.
Yeah.
So how can you
Just
lament?
like every single thing.
Exactly.
You
Just
lament
like
that you
October
lost the war you started.
Exactly. You're lamenting you lost the war you started, and I'm supposed to be sorry about that? Like, I don't understand. They're not telling the full story here.
Well, they can't.
And exactly, because then they wouldn't have support. So
Exactly.
they pick and choose pieces of it. Look, people get displaced from wars throughout history. That wasn't the first time. It wasn't the last time.
No.
It's not going to be the last time.
No.
But they're not telling the full story. So are we like, is it sad that someone got displaced from their home? Sure. It's sad everywhere it happens.
Yeah.
But they're not telling the full, they started the war. You can't lament the loss of a war that you started.
Exactly. But that's what they've done for the entire history. Basically, they want us to forget that they keep starting wars, losing them, and somehow
And that's why they're in
the
this
bit of
situation.
land that we legally conquered in a war we didn't start, everywhere else, that's legal.
Yeah.
Because there should be consequences for starting a war when you lose it. That's life. And somehow everybody wants to give them a pass. And on top of that, have zero consideration for our security needs and threats.
They don't care. They
don't care.
As long as they concern, you know, we don't need to be here even. And then even if they acknowledge that it's Hamas that started, it's the Palestinian, the Arab leadership back in 1948 that started the war, they say, oh, but what choice did they have?
Choice did they have?
No, they had to
Well,
fight.
ask
They
the
had
20%
to
of
resist.
the Arab community who stayed here and having a nice life. So
that's
they
what
had a
Nas-
choice and they chose correctly. You chose wrong. You chose the wrong horse.
That's what Nas Daily was. I don't know if you saw his
I
tweet.
saw Nas Daily.
Nusar.
He's dealing with so much right now.
No, seriously,
Of
saying,
course
listen,
he is now.
he's come out batting in our favor. I never expected him to be.
Right. So
Yeah.
he took I think it was a Mamdani
Yes.
New York
Mandani
tweet.
talking about Nakba.
Was interviewing a New Yorker who went through the Nakba, but not really, but whatever. And then he comes and goes, okay, I'm disrupting this narrative. It's like the elders in my village, he's an Arab Israeli, the elders in my village say, leave. Yeah, leave. And now we're talking about how they were kicked out. He's like, this is, it's actually a great post. And he's taking a lot of heat from it because everyone's calling him, a collaborator, things like that, because he's finally saying, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a Palestinian and I'm Israeli. And this is the truth.
And what he's basically saying is the victim mentality, enough already. How long can you be a victim? Like, get on with your life, move forward.
Yeah. Right.
You're not going to reverse history. That's what the Palestinians and their cause are so committed to reversing history. History doesn't go back.
Yeah.
Things move forward.
But with Nasser, it's not only that he came out on the side of, on our side, he came out on the side of truth. This is just the truth of what happened.
Exactly.
When I was growing up, my father had a good friend who was also his driver. And it was an Arab Israeli from the old city. And he told us that during the time, he's no longer alive, but back then, he was a rather old man. And he told us that, their leaders told them to leave and some didn't. He's like, my parents owned a small cafe. We were like, why should we leave? We just boarded it up and waited it out.
Yosef Haddad says the same thing. They were told to leave. His family still have land because they didn't leave.
Yeah, even if we're looking at at these rallies, they love listing all the villages that were ethnically cleansed by the Zionists. If you're looking at these villages and really digging into it, you can see villages right next to each other. Okay, for example, Deir Yassin, which they have the whole narrative
They have a
of
whole
the
Megillah.
massacre of Deir Yassin. What we know from history, they had Syrian Arab militants hiding in this village and confronting not just like the Jewish militias, but also really like shooting cars on Highway 1.
of course.
Okay, and then right in front of Deir Yassin is Abu Ghosh. And Abu Ghosh, till this day, is one of the most
Flourish.
the most flourishing
friendly,
villages.
always
Exactly.
the mayor is a good friend
Israelis
of
go
mine.
there, Israeli Jews, Arabs, everyone goes there to eat hummus. Everyone's friendly there.
Exactly.
We're saying exactly what the truth is there. All
The truth is there, but they made propaganda out of lies the way that the Nazis did, and that's what we have to swallow. And I mean, Bellamy went out there very bravely. She put on a keffiyeh
Can't wait to
That's
see it.
yeah.
to go undercover. I'm sure she'll be showing footage soon. But just before we go to our very favorite segment of Scumbag of the Week, I just want to take a little trip down to Gaza. Because maybe people are finally realizing that, no, Hamas is not going to disarm on their own. Quelle surprise! They're not disarming on their own because they have no intention of stopping terrorists because a scorpion can't stop being a scorpion. They just can't. And so we have now Huckabee talking about the fact that, maybe Israel's going to have to go in.
Who's going to actually do the disarming? I don't know. It may end up that the only entity willing to do it will be the IDF. If that happens, one thing that I hope, pray, and insist must also accompany that is that the world can't condemn Israel for doing what it didn't have the courage to do, and that's taking Hamas down. So if Israel ends up being the only entity willing to do what everyone agrees must happen for there to be a future of Gaza, then I would just hope that the world will thank Israel rather than condemn them.
Ariel, you were a soldier. What's the scenario here?
Yeah. So just like you said, are we surprised? No, we're not surprised at all. We've been saying this since the very beginning.
Yeah.
When they started talking about, maybe we'll deploy Indonesian and Emirati and Saudi and Azeri forces in Gaza and they'll disarm it. Come on. Yeah. Who wants to deal with Hamas? No one wants to deal with them.
We have no choice.
Exactly. We're the only ones that are not just capable, but actually willing to do that. I don't know if we're willing. It's a big thing that we need to
do it.
Big leap, but we understand that we need to do it. There is no other choice. Hamas will not disarm on their own. Come on, we're talking about people. We're talking about a movement that has on the first article in its charter the
destruction of Israel.
Yeah, the day of judgment will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews and kill all of them and the trees and the stones.
And not just here,
everywhere else.
You're a former sergeant. You're in reserves. What do you think?
Interestingly enough, I served during the disengagement.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So for me, it's all full circle.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, like you're saying, did anyone think they'd be able to handle Hamas besides the IDF? Like, what are we talking about? It is concerning, though, because if we really go for this, I mean, we've done a lot of it. They don't have rockets anymore the way they did. And also, we're also seeing a new kind of ceasefire. We're seeing a ceasefire that's good for the people, meaning the civilians on our side, on any side, Lebanon, whatever. But Israel's still making targeted strikes.
Yeah, we killed.
So it's a new, one of the, I forget what his name is.
The military head.
Yeah,
the last of the old guard, essentially.
The replacement of Sinwar's brother, basically.
Yes, exactly.
So we're seeing a new kind of ceasefire in which, like, for the most part, it remains in place and it's good for civilian life, but we're still going in and making targeted strikes that helps this not repeat in the future. I don't think anyone else but the IDF can do it, but I just don't know what that really looks like and how much loss of life we're going to take, and that's what concerns me.
Of course, absolutely, because they're more boxed in, which means that the citizens are more boxed in, and it's a problem because we, as opposed to what they say about us, do not target civilians, and we do everything we can to avoid targeting civilians. Okay, well, on that note, we've been through a lot already. Wow.
China, the world. China, Gaza,
Eurovision. That's like another planet. All right. And now for our very favorite segment, Scumbag of the Week. Adiel, your first Scumbag of the Week. How do you feel?
Very excited for that. My favorite segment of the show. So my scumbag or scumbags of the week are all the anti-Israel Eurovision fans on TikTok. Every year they pull through and start with the whole, the conspiracy theories about how Israel rigged the voting and all of that. But my favorite thing that they say is, last year they said, Austria saved us. Now they say, Bulgaria saved us. And I'm like, saved you from what? From what? I also brought an example so you can show it. as you can see, they're not saying, oh, look at us watching Bulgaria win. What they write is, look at us reacting to Israel losing. Are you out of your mind?
That's losers.
Losers. You don't celebrate a country winning, you celebrate a country losing.
It's all insane to me, and all the comments are like, "Yeah, we're saved, we're saved." You can see how like privileged and detached these people are. Yeah,
What is the average age of these people that do these things?
Honestly, I have no idea. TikTok used to be way younger, and now you can see people 25 and up, 30. I would say it's
50.
Like, honestly, yeah, I'm jealous of you that you're not part of that cesspool.
My life is already hard enough with X.
Yeah. You can handle TikTok.
Yeah. So yeah, these are my scumbags. Get a life, you guys. Get a grip of reality. We're happy. Just like we said, we're happy that we took second place. We don't need first place, and now we're moving on. That's all.
100%.
Because we move on and these losers stay stuck because they're losers. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our TikTok correspondent.
Yes.
and avoiding us the heartache of having to join.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Shoshana, who's your scumbag?
Well, my scumbags are repeat scumbags.
Repeat.
The New York Times,
Ah.
who never miss an opportunity to trash Israel and not talk about what actually happened here in truth. So they come out with the dog rape libel, which we'll talk about later, and they don't talk about the actual Hamas sexual violence, not only against Israelis, but also against Palestinians. The women in Gaza are being exploited, who all they want is food, they want to take care of their kids, and they're being sexually assaulted, sexually violated in order to just take care of their children. And the New York Times, quiet, you got nothing to say. And then they have to get into this whole Eurovision shtick. And I don't know if it was the front page because I do not read the New York Times, but I did see it on X, on Twitter, that they're like I forgot how they said it. The soft power of Israel, Eurovision, the rigging of there's a concept in Judaism that you have a certain amount of words in your life and you shouldn't waste them. And I feel like the New York Times has wasted everybody's words all together with print crap everywhere. The idea that you take your time and you put your name behind something that we have bought Eurovision. Talk about getting a life. It's not just on TikTok, though. These people the losers are also in the New York Times. They're so jealous. They so don't understand life and the world and what's important. And instead of talking about the actual people who are suffering, you're fetching about Eurovision votes? You don't even watch Eurovision, for God's sake. You're in America.
Yeah.
I hate them.
And they're accusing us of doing what every single country does. That's like saying, oh, Israel is doing a tourist campaign. Oh my God, how dare they? No, really, it's the same. What are they doing?
The amount of words that they spill on Israel and the Jews, it's unbelievable.
It's obsession.
It's obsession. 20 years ago, if you would have said this, no one would have believed you.
This is Goebbels. And I'm continuing with my plan to do the Joseph Goebbels Anti-Semitic Propaganda Prize. We will be doing that very soon.
Ooh.
Okay. Raquela, who's your scumbag?
So my scumbag this week, also staying in New York, is Mamdani, the current mayor of New York.
Also repetitive scumbag.
Also the repetitive Sonia. And the reason I'm going with him this week is there's a number of things that's just so ridiculous. First of all, when he was running, I first thought to myself, there's no way anyone in their right mind is going to vote for this man. Apparently, a good portion of New York may not be in their right mind.
Yeah.
So he gets elected, and I thought to myself, sometimes during elections, I'm no stranger to election campaigns. They say a lot of things, they do a lot of things. Then you get into power, and you realize, hey, I have to
be the mature adult.
Yeah.
Exactly, sober up, if you will. I have to close, bridges. I have to mend fences. But he is doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So recently came out with this Nakba video that we talked about.
Yeah.
What's it got to do with New York? What's it got to do with you? He's not of Palestinian descent. What's it got to do with you in the
Also, every single video he posts, he makes sure that there's someone with a kafia in it's like...
Exactly. Where do you think you're the mayor of, first of all? And then on top of that, the other thing that really, that's more hilarious if you want to look at it in a dark way. But the thing that really got me concerned is he said that you can only, protesters are protesting outside of a synagogue. And he said the new rule is 50 feet. Do you know what 50 feet is? It's from here to the end of the door at the studio. That's it. Can you imagine the protests like Bellamy just talked about, that they're chanting genocidal things to Jews.
Yeah.
They're carrying terrorist memorabilia, and that's the limit outside a house of worship? Like, you're the mayor now. You're not an activist anymore. You're not a rapper, whatever the hell he was. You're the mayor now.
A failed rapper.
You can't do that.
In his New York, there are swarms, and I'm going to call them swarms, of these protesters, these rabble-rousers, these screaming banshees, going down Williamsburg, going down very, very, very Jewish, like, ain't nobody else there but the Jews.
They just did a prayer outside a Jewish school in Brooklyn.
That's the thing. So you can be outside of a house of worship, so a synagogue, 50 feet, but there's no rule outside schools or in neighborhoods, which means they can come right up, if not even in.
And they
to
do.
the
We saw
schools.
the videos, the families on their porches, right? In their house. And then
Yes, exactly.
in front of them, that's
So that, to me, is why he's my scumbag, because you are now the mayor. I don't care what your ideology is. You're the mayor. You have to be the mayor of all people, and this is just not okay. Could you imagine 50 feet outside a mosque? Like, it'd be all over the New York
it'd be
Times.
all over the world. Yeah.
Exactly. So
I think this is what
that's
people
why he's
really
my
don't.
scumbag.
First of all, well done. But second of all, I think people really, 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 really don't want to understand in Western society. We are so used to, America's a melting pot. I grew up there. I love New York. New York, you literally hear so many different languages and so many different dress, and everyone's a New Yorker. That's how it was. And now you don't realize that these people who are moving in, not all of them, but people who are moving in with an ideology want to make New York their grounds. I'm sorry, it's an invasion. It is an invasion. That's what's happening.
But the Western mentality can't really comprehend
That they better wake up.
They just can't comprehend it. I mean, you see this weekend in the UK, there was Tommy Robinson's rally and people calling it a hate march. It wasn't a hate march. People were there. Nobody got attacked. There were people of all colors. Nobody got attacked. It was a march of patriotism for people who are scared for their country. But the Western mentality sees that as racism. But then calling Jews for genocide on Jews, that's not racism. No. It's you can't make this up. We're in a dystopia.
Yeah, I also saw a few videos. People started doing these. In Europe, they go to like anti-Zionists. You can definitely say that they're anti-Zionist protesters and stuff like that. They ask them, do you agree Palestine is for Palestinians? And they're like, of course, Palestine is for Palestinians. What about Sweden for the Swedes? And then they're like, oh, no, that's racist. You can't say that. It's like white supremacists.
I love it. I love it. I love it because they're honestly, they're skin deep. Their logic is skin deep. So whatever, here we are. 1930s Berlin, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, my scumbag of the week, and thank you so much for not going into my scumbag territory. You were very good, and I love you for that, is Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times. Now, who is Nicholas Kristof? He is a journalist who did good work in covering genocides in Africa. I think it was the Darfur genocide, and he got prizes for that. But he's always been extremely, extremely unfair and critical of Israel, like many New York Times journalists are. But this one really takes the biscuit. Last week, an article came out, as Shoshana was saying, in the eve of the report that was done so diligently and such a difficult thing that she did. Kochav El-Kayam, she did a report on all of the sexual violence against women and men on October 7th. And apparently they had offered, as you said, the piece to the New York Times. The New York Times said no. Why? Because they wanted to get ahead of a real story with real evidence, with a fake story with fake evidence. And Nicholas Kristof was the guy, and this is very significant. They didn't report it as news. Mm-hmm. He wrote it as opinion.
Op-ed, yeah.
It was an op-ed. And what did this op-ed say? It said that is, amongst other things, and no evidence at all hearsay, saying that the Israeli army, stay with me, trains dogs to rape prisoners. Okay, now, I'm no biologist here, okay, or a doctor, but does anybody think that a dog can be trained to rape? I'm a dog owner. I mean, anybody? It is the most preposterous thing. But apparently, it follows a long line of allegations with animals. And let me just read you some of it. The Israel spy dolphin claim.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Gaza 2015.
Yeah.
Hamas-affiliated sources claim they captured a dolphin equipped with surveillance gear that was supposedly sent by Israel to spy on Gaza naval facilities. Okay. The Israeli spy shark accusation, Egypt 2010. After shark attacks near Sharm el-Sheikh, yeah, there are sharks around there, an Egyptian official suggested a shark may have been remotely directed by Israel to damage Egypt's tourism industry. Okay, let's carry on with the absurdities. Israel spy vulture. Yes, apparently that came out of Saudi Arabia in 2011. A griffin vulture tagged by researchers from Tel Aviv University was found in Saudi Arabia with a tracking device. Local reports claimed it was an Israeli espionage device. It could have just been horticulturalists trying to see how far a bird can go. But no, why think about the logical solution? Israeli spy eagle.
There's more.
2012 from Sudan. A tagged eagle carrying equipment from Israeli researchers was detained after Sudanese media raised espionage suspicions. Okay, the boar attacks. A boar is a wild pig. Palestinian officials at various times accused Israel of releasing wild boars into West Bank, Judea, Samaria to damage crops or intimidate residents. News alert. There are wild boars all over the country.
They just shot one outside my
They shot, exactly. But Shemesh actually is a lot of wild boars around there. The remains disputed has never been substantiated. What a surprise. And then this one takes the biscuit. Because if there's something that is more insidious that claiming that Israelis, prisoners, Israel Prison Authority is sexually abusing prisoners, there's nothing that could be further from the truth. So much so that there was this crazy left-wing PhD student who wrote a thesis saying that Israelis are racist because we don't rape. We're the only army in the world that doesn't rape.
No.
And so when you don't rape, you're a racist. And when you rape, you don't just ordinary rape. No, you train dogs to rape. Because let's think of the most preposterous thing. Let's go to the Joseph Goebbels School of Anti-Semitic Propaganda, the cockroach one. Yes, that one. Let's think about how bad it can be. And then substantiated by, accounts from...
Okay, the worst.
From terrorists. Yes, that's who we're trusting with these accounts. And there's a non-profit organization called, EU something. And they are also the organization that is not providing evidence. They're simply repeating the evidence of the terrorists, the Hamas prisoners. So all of this, an article written with a horrible lie, that is a blood libel, because nothing could be more disgusting, from a man, Nicholas Kristof, who now we discover, although he spoke about it before, that his father was a Nazi. Yes, his father was actually in the German army during the war. He wasn't the SS, no, but he was in the war, the Weimar. During the Second World War, he was on the wrong side of history. So obviously the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and he's now projecting, and he's now taking the Joseph Goebbels attitude of anti-Semitic propaganda, and he's put it into the New York Times. And the New York Times have doubled down on defending this. And I always like to come back with a happy ending, is that the State of Israel, is going to sue the New York Times. And I hope they sue them for all of the damage that they've done. I hope they win. We have nothing to hide. People are like, we'll have to show discovery. Fakashah, come into our prisons and you'll see prisoners getting degrees and having fun in our prison system. And your lies will be exposed as what they are. And I hope we sue you for so much that it'll bring down your publication, which has now become a Nazi propaganda rag. And along with President Trump suing the BBC, we might have a new era of real reporting. So, Nicholas Kristof, father was a Nazi, you're my scumbag of the week. All right. Woo, woo.
Wow.
I can't. Every week I say the same thing.
Yeah.
Help me, God. All right.
No words.
No words, and that's why we cleanse our souls every week with Heroes of the Week. Raquel, let's start with you. Who's your hero?
My hero of the week has something to do with something that's very close to my heart. So when I was in the army, I was a lone soldier because my parents they were in the States at the time and they couldn't come back. So I didn't want to wait or not serve. So I came back, and there are thousands and thousands of lone soldiers that come from all over the world to serve the country every single year.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight someone named Major Lior Sheleg. And she is so many amazing things. She's also the mother of 4.
Wow.
She was a social worker. And now what she's doing is she's the commander of the lone soldier section of the IDF personnel. And she has this initiative where she's going to make a lot more support for lone soldiers throughout the country. There's like different lone soldiers centers in different regions of the country. And she is making this initiative to give them a lot more support. Also financial, also support to kind of help them, have adoptive families while they're here, all these different things. There's an article actually on JNS about her. You guys can go ahead and read that. So I just wanted to highlight her work, and also lone soldiers that come here every single year from their birth countries to serve the home country. And I think it's an amazing thing to do. I did it myself, like I said, and I just wanted to highlight her and her work. And also the perspective that she shared in the article is that she's a mother of 4, and she can't imagine what mothers feel like when they're very young adults, but very young children are over here serving. And so she wants to be that support and that feeling for them of home. So I think it's a very lovely initiative, and I just wanted to highlight her and lone soldiers in general.
That's amazing. Listen, people don't understand. You don't grow up in Israel, because when you grow up in Israel, you go to the army. That's just what you do. My kids grow up here. But to grow up in relative luxury, without the luxury of war, and to decide to move to the other side of the world, to put your life on the line, is the most admirable thing in the world. And on top of that, I'm the mother of a soldier. I've been the mother of 2 previous soldiers. I know what it is when they come home and they need laundry done, and you feed them, and my daughter takes food from the fridge every Sunday. Imagine not going home, not having your family there, giving you a warm Shabbat meal, and you can, take all your sullied soldier clothes and then leave with food that I make for my daughter. Not having that support, it's so crucial what people like this hero that you've brought to us.
And to have the courage to stay the course, to be here alone.
Yes.
We lost a number of lone soldiers, in the war in the last few years. So that's my hero for the week.
Well, that's
Very
wonderful.
nice. Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful hero. Shoshana, who's your hero?
Oh, and my hero is Kochav Elkayam Levy. And she is a friend at this point, because I've been privileged to get to know her. She's an Israeli human rights lawyer who, like all of us after October 7th, were watching social media and seeing these horrible images coming out of sexual violence, sexual assault by Hamas on Israelis. And she said, I have to gather this evidence. I need to make sure that this is documented and that it is properly seen for what it actually is. And she just came out with a 300-page report, which is, I can't read it.
No,
I can't read it. I can't read it. I'm telling you right now, I cannot read it. And I was one of those people, by the way, in the beginning, I'll admit it, that I said, don't show these videos. Don't show them to the world. I don't care what the world knows or doesn't know or believes or doesn't believe. Don't show them. It's too much. It's too traumatizing for Israelis. And I understand very much, especially now with the propaganda war, why people are like, no, we have to show it. But it's so hard, even a little bit, to know about it. And what she has done, she's really sacrificed herself for this cause, frankly. There's no question.
Your mental health.
There's no question. First of all, she created a new term called kinocide.
Kinocide. Yeah.
Which is like the, it's really hard to talk about this.
I know.
Which is the killing of a family and kin, like kin being your family, and forcing one another
to watch.
And she puts this report together to show that this was not just something that happened in war, but rather part of the war.
Yes.
It was an assault on Israelis, on Jews, on people who Hamas came over the border to attack and to torture in every way possible, to destroy us, to destroy not just physical, to dehumanize us. and putting this report together so that it's documented in history, so that people can't deny it, so that it is a documented reality. And it just makes the New York Times even much more of a scumbag.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't run it.
Yeah.
Not even, like, this guy gets an op-ed with the stupidest, most idiotic, mentally ill sources.
Yeah.
Sources.
Yeah.
And Kochav, that takes years to document.
Yeah.
Because we all know that unless we have pictures and videos of it, the world's going to say it didn't happen. She takes years. And the people who said believe all women and the people who broke the story about Weinstein, they have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nothing to say.
No.
So Kochav is my hero because not only did she do it, but she has to deal with the world who denies it.
Yeah.
We actually gave her the award, the Women of Iron Award, in November, I believe it was, December. Even then she deserved it, and even more so now what she's been able to do. And Kochav, you are a hero of ours, and the world needs to know what happened. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for making sure that these people's stories are never, ever forgotten.
Amen. She's a strong woman.
Yeah.
She's been appearing in the media talking about these stories. And again, like you said, she sacrificed herself and she deserved the Women of Iron Award that you gave her, Shoshana. And she's a wonderful hero. Adiel, who's your hero?
I know we're tired of hearing about Eurovision, but I promise that's it. Like after this, we're done. And I'm not even that into Eurovision. It's just because it became such a big thing, you know? Yeah. So I got drawn into it. But my hero of the week, his name is Ivo Herzl. He's an Austrian, non-Jewish Zionist activist who organized a pro-Israel rally amidst all the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel rallies that took place all over Vienna. He brought people from all backgrounds. What we saw in these rallies are Israeli flags and Austrian flags and Free Iran flags, and even a Lebanese flag was there, which I wonder, I kind of want to ask him who was behind that. Because we are hearing some interesting voices from Lebanon recently, but this guy really pulled through, not just because of Eurovision, but even before that, very active and vocal for Israel.
My name is Ivo Herzl and I organized a little flash mob here in Vienna in support of Israel, in solidarity of Israel. I'm not Jewish myself, I'm from Austria, and we brought together a lot of non-Jewish and Jewish people and people from all around the world to express our solidarity with Israel and send a message that Eurovision has always been about inclusion, and we will never let the spirit of exclusion ruin this.
I also want to read you his bio. Where is it?
Wonder
Let's
whether
see.
he's
He has
some relation to Herzl.
Yeah, I do. It is interesting because
must be.
I'm not sure
Such
it's
a Jewish name, Herzl.
Is it though? Is it not like Germanic or like I don't know. But anyway, his bio reads: Austrian Zionist, rejecting right-wing Putin friends, rejecting left-wing Islamist friends. So you can see we're so used to seeing people. Exactly, we're so used to seeing people who really lost their marbles. Finally, someone with his head screwed on right, you know, and it's amazing. And we've never spoke, Ivo, but I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're amazing. Keep it up. Let's be in touch. I want to come to Vienna, you know.
Nice.
Bravo. Maybe we should get him here.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And find out whether Herzl was his long-lost grandfather or great-grandfather. Who knows?
I would love to know.
You never know. It would be very interesting. Wow, that's wonderful. It's good to know that there's real good people out there.
Yeah.
And there's more than we think. It's just that it's the haters that make the noise.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is progressing very nicely onto my hero. And this I'm doing for myself and Emily Schrader because she's not here, but he was her hero too. And I've done him before, Bill Maher. My God, how clear can the man be? Watch this.
And finally, new rules since yesterday was Israel's birthday. Having become a nation on May 14th, 78 years ago, everyone must either wish her a happy birthday or admit they're anti-Semitic. Now, it's everyone's right in a free country to be anti-Semitic, but Enough with hiding behind Israel or Zionism or Netanyahu. If you think, as so many do now, that when it comes to human rights, Israel is the monster country of all time, you either don't read or you don't care about your own hypocrisy. Because there are so many worse places. But that's where we are these days. No Jews, no news. People say the left and the right can't agree on anything these days. Well, there is this one thing they agree on. Right-winger Tucker Carlson has Nick Fuentes and Holocaust deniers on his podcast and wonders along with them who really was the bad guy in World War II. And the New York Times has on their podcast super leftist Hassan Piker, who they call a progressive mind, and who says Zionists should be treated the same as Nazis, which I assume means hung at Nuremberg. That's what progressive is now? I guess so. And Democrats, where are you? If any other minority group was being talked about this way, you'd break out the Kenta cloth and have 10 benefit concerts. But because you see that so many of your brainwashed by TikTok constituents now have an unfavorable view of Israel, you indulge them when you should be correcting them. You don't tell your woke idiots Israel isn't a colonizer or an apartheid state or committing genocide, and that if you brats had to spend a week anywhere in the Middle East other than Israel, you would understand what liberalism is not. Let me just say this to all who ask me, why are you harder on the Democrats than you used to be? Until you fix this whole issue, stop asking me.
I mean,
Yeah.
Such moral clarity.
Moral clarity. The Democrats are his party, and he's going after them as he should, as every decent Democrat should, for the fact that they're not doing anything about anti-Semitism, unhinged anti-Semitism now. And he's right, exactly what you're saying, what Ivo said. This and this are both agreeing on one thing. It's called the horseshoe theory. So, Bill Maher, I can't express better than you have exactly what you've just said, but you are definitely our hero. We need more voices than you. We admire you. And I'm officially, from this platform, inviting you to Israel because you deserve a week in a wonderful Israel spa. Anyway.
But he really points it out. Like, he really puts his finger on it. Like,
exactly,
you are indulging them instead of correcting them.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what I see with parents nowadays. The same thing. Like, okay, honey, that's it.
Yes.
You feel that's really, really great and wonderful and things. But like, no. Your children, your constituents, the people who are learning from you, they need boundaries. They need truth. They need to understand right from wrong. And the Democrats are just like, whatever, man. Everybody shoot this truth. Like. That's why they're a disaster.
Because that's what gets them elected nowadays.
But Shoshana's right. There's something very corrupt about the way leadership is today. There's no real leadership. Leadership is not, let's take a poll, see where everybody is, and then I'll say that sentence. Leadership is, this is what should be happening. When you're a leader, you bring your vision, you bring your ideology, you bring your direction forward. You don't check the polls, and there's a lack of leadership.
Yes.
That's the problem.
100%.
And then you go to Trump, who's very clear about what he wants to do. That's why people relate to him. That's why people like him. Because he's actually a real leader. And I don't see anybody in the Democratic side, I hate to say it, I don't see anybody with real leadership skills. They're just taking polls and seeing where everybody is. That's not leadership. And the same in the UK, by the way. That's not real leadership. Anyway, we finish another week. And we pray for our soldiers. We pray for our injured soldiers to get better. We pray to protect everyone in the region. We pray for a new day without the poisonous Islamist regime in Iran, so the people of Iran can be free. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.